So before we get started, I just really want to sincerely thank the refs for looking at our health and our well-being and saving us from an errant headgear throw that could have endangered our lives. I really do appreciate what they did. So before now we got that out of the way. Yeah, I understand the nature of the rule, right? We want to have good sportsmanship. We don't want kids spiking headgears or throwing headgears. For real, we don't want kids taking off their headgear and flinging it into the stands or flinging it into the bench. And yeah, God forbid if somebody's not paying attention, they take a headgear to the face or the eye. Yeah, that's serious. But when a kid is excited about getting a takedown with 2 seconds left, that is a pivotal match to the dual meet, and he goes over and he takes his headgear off and he smacks his coach's hands and it falls out of his hand to the mat. I mean, we got to have common sense, right? Common sense has to prevail in that moment and say like, yeah, no, that wasn't the nature of the rule, right? That's not, I don't care what you say, what it says in the rule book, that should not be costing teams dual meets in 2026. And it seems like we're figuring out more ways to lose matches in this day and age that has nothing to do with wrestling. And to go on another tangent, we're the only sport in the world where points can be taken away, like by misconduct. Like not in football, not in basketball, not in baseball, no other sport where if there's a sportsmanlike or whatever the rule is, points are taking off the board. It's just ridiculous. I think the NCAA committee has to do something where at the very least or the most punishment, just I guess throw the coach out, right? Like if the coach has to get thrown out of the match, throw the coach out. You shouldn't penalize the whole team for something like that. I just think it's overdue, and I think we have to really take a look at it and say we have to change. We have to conform to every other sport in NCAA that doesn't do this.
Dubuque, you are out of here. That would have been
That's fine.
Honestly, yeah.
That's fine. Throw me out. Let the assistant coaches take the reins. Finish out the dual meet. We come away winning. Because that, I mean, you give that point back to us. We win on criteria, and like again, you're just you're diminishing the effort and the battle that every single guy stepped out there and put out there just because of a silly rule and a silly mistake.
Sure. We have this clip, Greg. If you want to pull this up, we'll take a look at it, and I'm just kind of curious from your perspective. You're excited, and then at what point do you realize, oh crap? Like, did you realize it right then?
Well, I mean, I'm like, yeah, the headgear fell out, and I'm thinking, I'm like, oh my god, like, my first reaction is like, all right, I'll pick it up and I'll give it to him, and then I see the ref, hit us with hit him with an unsportsmanlike conduct. I'm like, this can't decide the match. This just can't, right? Like literally he shakes his hand and his headgear falls out of his hand. It didn't endanger anybody. He didn't slide it anywhere. It literally fell a foot at his feet. I don't know, man. It just makes me sick to my stomach just watching it, to be honest with you. It's like, I can handle losing a match or a duel straight up. We get out wrestled. Hats off to the other team, but I can't accept that. It's really hard.
How did this, okay, this clip stops and that's fine. What goes on? Is it just like they took a point and that's it? Did you have a conversation, a nice one or a calm one or a not so calm one?
So, all right. So yeah, right at that point, I'm like, there's no way he didn't throw it. He didn't throw it to me. He didn't slide it. He didn't spike it. I'm literally trying to convince the ref. It just fell out of his hand. It fell out of his hand, and I picked it up, and I'm trying to give it back to him, and then the other ref took it. So then as we're getting farther down the dual meet, now I'm thinking, like, this is going to come into play. So I actually called, like, right at the beginning of our the heavyweight duel or the heavyweight match, I'm calling the Ivy League assigner, Brian Manzi, and I'm telling him what the situation is. And he was actually saying that there was a provision that says if he hands me or if it like drops at my feet, it's not supposed to be unsportsmanlike. So I literally right after the dual meet ends, we wind up losing. It's 2019 on the scoreboard, and before we even shake hands, before that, they announced who the winner was. I had literally Brian on the phone, and is trying to talk to the ref, seeing what could be done. I mean, I don't know. I just think the spirit of the rule, that was not it, right? That just wasn't why the rule was created or what it was intended for. And it cost us a match. It cost us the dual meet. And again, I just think the kid wrestled his butt off, and now to do that, it diminishes the whole effort of the team. Especially with us coming in there, under immense adversity with our lineup, and to battle that way and to give ourselves a chance to win, just to lose like that, it's just discouraging.
How did that conversation go after the duel, before the handshake, where you're on the phone with I think you said the rules interpreter or whatever from the Ivies, talking to the guy on the ground? What was that conversation like? And were you hopeful, or did you think that maybe they would change it?
I mean, they just kept saying that's the rule, that's the rule, that's the rule, that's the rule. Like the NCAA is making us, that's it. It has to stay in their hand. It has to do this. It has to do that. And I'm like, yeah, again, you can explain it to me 100 times. It still just doesn't make sense to me that that's what's gonna lose us the match, right? Like again, I just can't can't fathom it.
And I said this earlier, but this was a rule, and then a lot of people didn't like it, but it like went the other way, that it's like becoming a rule of emphasis this year, and they're like doubling down on it and making it a bigger deal. Is that accurate?
So yeah, I guess so. It's a point of emphasis, but I've been seeing clips online of other teams and other kids literally dropping their headgears and pointing at coaches after they win, and not one unsportsmanlike conduct happens, not one team point is taken away, and it just seems like little old Princeton is the one that has to kind of be the sacrificial lamb, so that they show that they're serious about this. And I'm not saying about the NCAA. I'm just saying, like, if that's another team, if that's a Big Ten duel, and that's it's that close, there's no way that gets called, in my opinion. But that's just how it is, man. You gotta move on. Obviously, I'm talking about it right now, but after this conversation, I won't talk about it again. It's over and done with. And as a team, we've already moved forward. To be completely honest with you, I never even said anything to Rocco about it, because he wrestled his butt off and he gave us a chance to win, and I congratulated him on a great effort and a great performance. And that's it. We'll talk to our team, or we just talked to him about from now on, you better run out the building with your headgear on and go shower with it on and everything like that. Make sure you don't leave any room for error.
Sleep with it on. Yeah, brush your teeth. Just keep
Yeah.
it on 24/7. You'll be fine. Well, and you gotta give that ref some credit. That thing could have flown out and hit somebody, in the teeth, and
I,
that would have been
I,
terrible.
I know he was looking at our well being, and I appreciate it.
And it's easy to blame the refs, but that's the rule. That's how they're being told to call it. So it sucks. I think whoever made the rule, the rules committee or whatever, to me it was not a good
Now,
rule.
so I mean, I like to call things fairly. Also, there was other ways that we could have won that dual meet. So to say that it was squarely on a headgear toss, I think would be unfair. So I like to call things how it is, and feel like there was definitely a couple more ways we could have won that dual meet, without that headgear penalty point being a factor. But you know, yeah, we didn't close out the dual meet, but honestly, like I said, in the end, I was super proud of the performance and the way our guys competed and how they wrestled. And we can build off of that, and we are going to build off of that. And I'm not gonna cry about the headgear toss. Like I said, I'm talking to you about it, but I think it's more of a funny conversation than me, really trying to rally the troops and get this thing overturned because it won't. Like, it's not going to get changed. It is what it is. We'll learn from it. Nobody, like I said, nobody's taking their headgear off, and we'll never be impacted. In our matches by something like this.
Sure. Well, and I appreciate your perspective. And even saying, hey, it wasn't just a headgear. We could have won other ways. Taking accountability on that side, I do appreciate that. And you didn't ask for this. I called you and asked you to come on here, so I want people to know that you're not trying to jump around and yell about this. It was interesting, so I wanted to hear your opinion. All right. Yep. Well, just go ahead. Say that.
I was just gonna say, like, I appreciate being on here, and that's just one part of the conversation, and but yeah, it is what it is. It's controversial, right? And it was all over the internet. So without a doubt, I'm here to talk about it. And then right after this conversation, it's over.